Hello, my name is Nora Trench Bowles, and among other things, I'm the Vice Chair of the Voluntary Board of the Irish Stammering Association. Um, I'm really honoured to have been asked to speak at today's conference. I'm only sorry that I can't be, which is there in London today. I would have really loved the chance to meet and to meet again lots of yous. As we know, the most profound moments of days like these often happen over the coffee or in the pub afterwards. So I wish us all the best, and I hope you're getting lots from the day. I do have a good excuse, I think, for not being there. Our lovely little Manus was born um, earlier this year, and I'm taking good care of him here in Dublin. Um, I'm really delighted to be part of this afternoon's panel, and I would have loved to have heard the contributions from the other panel members, and indeed would have loved to have heard the discussions throughout the day. I really hope my contribution helpfully adds to the conversations you're having. I will speak briefly about Bród's Stadaireachta, which translates to Stammering Pride from the Irish language. Bród's Stadaireachta is the Stammering Pride initiative that myself and a number of wonderful collaborators, some of whom are in the room with you today, have been organising for the Irish Stammering Association. And I'll also speak about my recent experiences of media advocacy, or what I now feel encouraged by the programme conference to call stammering activism. As a result of our Bród Stadaireachta work, I got the opportunity to do an interview on the very popular podcast here in Ireland called The Two Norries. And from that, I was invited to do an interview on national media on national radio with the eminent Sean Moncrief, both on the topic of stammering pride. So Bród Stadaireachta 2.5 years ago, in the depths of COVID, a lifetime ago, Penny Farrell, Adele O'D, Mark Noonan and myself started meeting online to discuss stammering pride and explore how we might take it forward in an Irish Stammering Association context. We are a group of people who stammer, speech and language therapists and allies. And together we've written an article on stammering pride, which has pride of place, excuse the pun, on the Irish Stammering Association website, and which signposts work done by lots of the people in the room and on the programme of today's conference. We have also organised and hosted webinars and a picnic, and a regular discussion group. All of the Bród Stadaireachta events are open to people who stammer, people with an interest in stammering, speech and language therapists, allies, however they may be thinking and feeling about stammering. I'm proud of the work we've done with Bród Stadaireachta, and personally it's been formative in helping me and my thinking to move from the personal more to the social and the political. So, as I mentioned, as a result of the Bród Stadaireachta work that we've been doing, I got the opportunity to do the Two Norries podcast. And the Two Norries are this pair of really affable lads. And when I went to Cork to record the interview, they created a really warm and open environment. They were actively and obviously eager to listen and to learn and to relate to what I had to say. Um, so I couldn't have asked for a better setting to talk about stammering pride. And I could say something very similar about the radio interview I did. And yet, even still, it was hard work. It is hard work to unpick the many preconceptions and presumptions, myths and stereotypes about stammering. It's hard work to challenge those dominant attitudes, particularly around surely you just want to stammer less. So I feel like it took a while to get there. There was a lot to wade through and to nuance, and so I'm grateful for phrases like "it's okay to stammer" and "it takes two to stammer." Thank you, Josh St. Pierre, to come back to those core messages. During the interviews, I was also staying wise to the language that was being used, especially when it comes to describing stammering as bad. And I was challenging this while also wanting to, bring people along with me. And especially for the podcast interview, which was about an hour long, it was a good opportunity to do that in the flow of conversation. And we in the stammering community, we're far from the only group, doing that kind of work, unpicking, challenging stigma and misrepresentation. And I think there's a lot that we can learn from and collaborate on with other groups, as crucial as connecting and developing our own stammering community is. And I wouldn't be without it for a minute. Media advocacy can be a great opportunity to speak outside of our community, to speak to the wider public, I suppose. And so the radio interview, which was much shorter at around 10 minutes, it started with a lovely open question: what is stammering pride? And perhaps I was a bit taken aback by the gentle first serve, but I found myself automatically starting the story from the point of stammering having been, and indeed sometimes still is, a great source of pain and of shame. And it was only months later that I started to think, when is it time to start the story from a different place? And am I inadvertently adding to another version of the cured arc, where I used to be in pain, but now I am proud. But at the same time as all that, I am conscious of the need, and I would say the responsibility that we have, to hold space for that pain, for that shame. A woman wrote to me after the podcast came out, detailing her own struggles as a person who stammers, and saying that the interview made her, quote, face the lion in the long grass waiting to pounce. So how can I hold the space for the pain, the shame, the fear, while also unapologetically celebrating feelings of openness and of pride? I think one of the ways that we can do that is to make sure that pride isn't a zero-sum game. You don't have to feel proud all of the time to feel proud some of the time. And you don't have to never feel pain and shame to also feel proud. So making sure that we are creating a really inclusive culture of stammering pride. Um, what's next, Patrick? Patrick Campbell asked when we were meeting to prepare for this conference. For Bród's Stadaireachta, we hosted an ally exchange event earlier this year, connecting specifically with LGBTQ plus pride and with neuro pride, and that's something that we really want to build on. We'll also be speaking next month at the Irish Stammering Association's ISAD event, speaking particularly with the young people in the audience in mind. And personally, I'll be recording another podcast soon. It'll be the Hypnobirthing podcast, where I'll be speaking about Manus's birth. This is, I think, a really important avenue of media advocacy and of stammering activism. Hearing people stammer while they're not necessarily talking about stammering openly, stammering loudly, helping to desensitize ourselves to stammered speech. I think it also really importantly reflects a crucial part of stammering identity, which is that we all have other things going on, where we have other parts of our lives that we're living, or we have lives that we're living, we have other groups that we're members of. And with that, I'll say thanks a million and best of luck.